Good evening, everyone. My name is Amara Russell. I have chosen to do my review on a graphic novel called Sisters. It is written by Raina Telgemeier. I hope that I am pronouncing that correctly. Here's a picture of the cover, just in case anybody wants to go and try to find it on Amazon after I'm done. So just a little bit of history on the creative team. So the creative team is edited by Cassandra Pelham. The color is done by Brandon Lamb. The lettering is done by John Green. The book design is done by Phil Falco. The creative director is done by David Saylor. The publisher is Graphics, and it has a total of 197 pages. So this is a genuine graphic novel. Act 1 starts on the inside of the sisters' homes with their parents and young brother as they are planning a vacation from San Francisco to Colorado. Act 2 starts on page 27 where the mom and the children are traveling. The dad stays behind because he plans to fly in versus riding with the family. And so Act 2 takes place, like I said, on page 27, and it basically just shows a breakdown of them traveling with the mom in the front seat. The younger brother has taken shotgun, the older sister in the back seat of the van, and then the third sister, which is the middle sister, is in the far back of the van. So that's where Act 2 starts. And I wanted to show you a little bit how it transitions. So let me see here. Give me just a second. Basically, this is where they live in San Francisco. Hope you all can see that. And then it transitions where this is Act 1, where it starts out in their kitchen. They're at the dinner table planning for their vacation. They're going to visit relatives. Actually, the mom's sister and the kids' cousins in Colorado is who they're going to go and visit for the summer. And so basically, as you can see, the panels are set up pretty good. It tells the story. It looks like it starts here and then it goes from here to here to here. So the directional flow is really good as well. I just wanted to show you guys real quick where Act 2 takes place. Give me a second. It's on my iPad, so I have to try to get to it. Sorry for the silence. Basically, they go into Act 2 where they're finally getting ready to go on vacation. So this is where they're packing and everything. They have really great artwork. And the little brother calls shotgun, and so he's in the front seat. But Act 2 goes into it where it gives you an anatomy of how they're sitting in the vehicle, as what I was trying to explain earlier. So that's where Act 2 starts. Kind of can't see because of that glare, so I'll switch to this side. So basically, let me get off into the history of the story. It's a few pictures that I wanted to show you guys and share with you, but that'll come during the time it's needed. But I wanted to make sure I was already there on that page so that it wouldn't take me all this time to look for it. So I'll wait and show you that in a second. So let's see. So I did share with you where Act 2 started, and it does fit our model, I believe so. The story belongs to the sisters because overall it's just talking about how they just don't get along. They pretty much fight throughout the whole entire story until the end. And so it's always the younger sister picking on the older sister, or she's trying to get attention. So it's always something going on with them. Also in the story, the parents are having a little marital problems, which is one of the reasons why I think the dad stays behind. He doesn't really travel with the mom. They don't actually say that, but they kind of give little hints about why he stays behind, but they don't actually just say that's the reason why. So basically, it belongs to the sisters, Raina and her younger sister. Raina wants a sister, but soon she regrets that wish. The goal of this, I believe, is to stop all the bickering and to keep their family together once they realize that, hey, something's wrong with mom and dad. Maybe it's because of us, because we don't get along. And so they're trying to figure out a solution, what's going on at home. So they're trying to figure out what the problem is, not realizing that the problem could possibly be them. So the conflict in Act Two does support the goal. However, the goal is still not accomplished as they continue to fight. Like I said, they fight throughout the whole entire story. So the story does have a solid arc. It's clearly about the girls and the parents' marriage falling apart. But overall, it really is about the sisters. It has a clear beginning, middle, and end. The only part I was confused about is in the beginning, it starts out with them packing their clothes and everything, getting ready for this big vacation. And then once they get off onto the road and start to travel, they have a flashback and it takes them back to the beginning of how the sister was born. So initially, Raina had begged for a sister. She made it very clear here that, can you guys see that? She wanted a sister. She went through all the, every day. That's all she stated. Sister, 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 I want a sister. Give me a sister. So eventually, the parents gave her what she wanted, not knowing it was going to be a girl, but they eventually had a baby, and sure enough, it was a girl. So Raina got her wish, which was a sister. And so it takes you back, as the story is unfolding, it takes you back to that history to show how the sister was born. And so that was a bit confusing because it just comes out of nowhere, and you really didn't understand until later on, like, oh, this is a flashback, they're reminiscing. They're trying to tell you how they got to where they are now. And so with that being said, Raina then soon realizes that, you know what? Maybe a sister is not what I wanted. Because once she gets home, this is Raina and her little sister, all this baby does is cry. And it's kind of annoying. And so for a sister that was Raina's age, she's kind of like, what in the heck is going on here? All this baby do is cry. She never shuts up. Maybe I made a big mistake. Maybe I don't want a sister. And so they take you throughout all of that. So like I said, I think it does have a clear beginning, middle, and end. It's just the flashbacks that they take you to are kind of confusing. The resolution is satisfactory because at the end, the sisters, how can I explain this? So during the whole traveling process, they continue to reminisce. So they're going to Colorado to visit family. And once they get there, Raina realizes that her and her cousin just aren't like they used to be. So now Raina is stuck dealing with her bratty sister. I'm not going to give the name yet. I'm going to give that at the end. But she's stuck dealing with her, but they reminisce as they're traveling on things that happened in the past. Well, the younger sister wanted a pet, and the parents would not give her a dog or a cat because they were allergic to them, and it was just too much maintenance. And so they end up getting a fish. They got 3 fish for each sibling. All of the fish died. They had a frog. Something happened to the frog. They got an iguana. The iguana died because the crickets ate him. Crazy, I know. So in order to satisfy the younger sister, what the parents did was they gave the older sister their master bedroom. Where do they do that at? Who does that? And so they figured it was cut down on some of the bickering. And so they gave her the master bedroom, and they moved down to the living room. And the younger sister and the younger brother had to share rooms. Well, in order to satisfy the younger sister, they end up giving her a pet snake. And so throughout all of this, she takes the pet snake on the trip with them. The pet snake gets loose in the car. So towards the end, when they're on their way back home from vacation, the car stops. they're having mechanic issues. So the mom and the little brother go off to try to find help, while Raina and her younger sister are stuck in the car with this snake. Well, as they're minding their business, the snake appears. Now, mind you, this snake has been in this car for a week now, since they've traveled from San Francisco to Colorado. And so they find the snake. Of course, Raina freaks out, and the younger sister goes and tries to catch the snake. Well, together they conquer this. She tells her sister, Raina, the older sister, hold the suitcase, take all of mom's things out of the suitcase and just hold it for me so that I can get the snake inside the suitcase. So as they're working together, this is where the unity comes in. This is where the peace comes in, because they're no longer bickering and insulting one another. They're actually coming together to work with each other instead of bumping heads. And so with that, it brings about a peace. So the mom and the brother come back, and she asks them what happened. And so the younger sister begins to explain. So that's why I say the resolution finally came at the end of the story, because the sisters finally had a common ground and they accomplished something together. The story does have good transitions. Like I said, it was only confusing when they go back to all of those different things that happened in between, just to get you caught up on how the story came about. It did flow consistently throughout. It had great dialogue. The storyline matched the dialogue and the captions. McLeod's ideas of transition, I do believe worked well with this work. I'll show you guys how in a minute. Each panel flowed from one to the next, and I believe the story does make use of each page as a mini comic. It works effectively through each panel. The characters all have a solid arc. The focus is more on Raina and her sister, and I believe their characters stood out the most. There was no change in them until the end. There was consistent bickering and fighting and jealousy and comparison of one another up until the end of the story. So I believe their character arcs were very solid. It does make for an effective use of directional flow. The art definitely pulls the reader through. It flows and the characters fit the storyline. I would absolutely recommend this to my classmates, as I would absolutely recommend this also to my friends. It's cute, it's funny, it's very entertaining, and you can definitely relate if you have siblings that you just don't get along with, or if you can reminisce and reflect back on growing up with your siblings, how that was. I think this story will be very enlightening, and you will probably see yourself and your sisters in it, as I saw myself in it with not my sister, but with cousins, because my sister came 13 years later. But I saw when I had once prayed for a little sister or brother. I really wanted a brother, but I got a sister, but we didn't bicker or fight. We were 13 years apart, but I do remember having the same type of engagement that they had with cousins that I grew up with. And so it's a very, like I said, intriguing and funny story, and I believe a lot of people will enjoy it, male and female, so I highly recommend it. And we'll be adding more of Raina Telgemeier stories to my library. Other observations that I noticed, I wonder what happened to the dad. You know, when they left Colorado, he went back home and flew, and they drove, of course. He didn't get back in the car with them, so I wonder what happened to them, and if the parents worked out their differences and if they stayed together, because it really didn't give any detail. All it showed at the end was Raina and her sister finally getting along, and it was a peaceful ride home, and that was it. A fun fact, well, this is the reason why I did not want to share her name, but as I was reading this story, I found it very interesting that the little sister's name that was born is Amara. Very interesting. Amara is a very rare name, and I don't hear it that often. So to know that that name was in this book, that was kind of exciting. That kept my interest even more so, because I wanted to know about this Amara. Although the Amara in this book was pretty bratty. She was definitely spoiled, And she constantly picked fights on purpose, complete opposite of who I am. But it was a very interesting read, and I think that was a fun fact to learn as I was reading through. So I just want to show you guys a little bit more of how it flowed. Like I said, that was them. That's home. And this is how the panels are set up. So they have their plant panels set up really good, and it flows, it doesn't jump around. It flows from one panel to the next panel, and each panel makes sense. And as you can see, their bubbles make sense. Their bubbles are pointing exactly to who it is that's talking, and the graphics go with the conversation. So nothing is misleading, and the directional flow of it all, it flows from left to right. And so it was a really good story. I enjoyed it. One cute little thing I thought was when the little sister finally came, Raina wanted to name her Dana, but the mom insisted that no, we already have a name for her, which is Amara. Well, when she was first born, Raina was all excited, and she said, "This is not a girl, that looks like a boy." And so she looks at him and she's like, "Prove to me that it's not a boy." So that's what the mom did here. She held the baby up with their clothes off to prove that it was a girl. Overall, guys, The Sisters was a great read. I hope that you enjoyed my review, and I hope that you check it out for yourself. Good luck with your future classes. It's almost over. Actually, I think we have one more class. Can't wait to see you all, whoever's going to be attending. And again, I can't wait to read your reviews, and good luck. Thank you.